Hey, fight fans, AOW 32 is here, and we are going to chop up this loaded card put together by AOW President Mike Bickings and Art of War matchmaker Jillian Peterson. We have some great fights on here lined up. Live Casino, one of the most happening spots in the city, October 20th, and the roof is going to blow off of that place when you hear some of the names on the card. Let's start at the top with the main event. We got Earl Trouble Small, the defending welterweight champion. He welcomes Robert Gidron to the cage. Gidron is coming off of a loss, but it was against Kyle Dawkins. Listen, everybody knows Kyle Dawkins is legit UFC veteran. He's a stud. There's no shame in losing to Kyle Dawkins. But Gidron obviously isn't afraid of high level and high reputation fighters. He's coming to Art of War, to challenge Trouble for his belt. Now, Trouble, let's talk about Trouble. 302 BJJ, one of the, great, another balanced black belt, a great academy. And sometimes Trouble he's such a great guy and an instructor. Many times he's put, his students in teaching ahead of his own fighting career. And I think Earl, he knows he's getting, a little older like we all are. And Earl, he's trying to get to the UFC like these guys, and he's 6-2. If Earl can come away with a convincing victory and go to 7-2, his path is a little closer to the UFC. And listen, Earl trains with all these guys in the UFC in Philly, and he feels like he's on par with those guys. He feels like he can compete with those guys. I think he can. Another thing about Trouble is he's been labeled as just a grappler. And Trouble doesn't like that. And I can understand that. You don't want to be stereotyped under one style. His last fight, he told me before the fight, he wasn't even going to shoot for a takedown. He wanted to use his striking. He wanted to knock out his opponent. His opponent shot and took him down. Trouble had no other solution but to put him in a triangle and win the fight from the bottom. That's not how he planned it. And, listen, you never can plan a fight how it goes. Usually anything can happen. But Earl Trouble Small, the defending champ, is looking to, end the night with his arm raised. And, check him out. You may not get to see him on a regional scene much longer. He really is that good. He's loaded with talent, and he has a lot of assets around him. Ricardo Meglaris, Larry Edwards. He has the entire, so many guys to train with and help him get better. This is his night. So he's going to try to, leave with his arm raised and head to the UFC. Our co-main event. Let's talk about it. Listen, everybody knows John Garbarino. John is South Philly. John could basically walk out his front door and stumble to Live Casino. That's how close he lives. And John has done it right. John has taken his time. He's had plenty of amateur fights. He hasn't rushed into taking a pro fight. He's worked hard. He's had a boxing match. He continues to work on his ground game. And John Garb's always in great shape, always an exciting fighter. And he's going to be welcoming in Dijon Francis. Now listen, Dijon Francis is no joke, okay? Dijon is an Army veteran. He's been in, dangerous situations. He's been in life-threatening situations. So coming into, a place where everybody's going to be against him, everybody's going to be booing him, nobody wants him to win except maybe his family that's there, and that doesn't faze him. Dijon is mentally strong, and he's a tough dude, and Garbarino's a tough dude. I expect these two, they both like to strike. I expect them to go to the center of the cage and bang it out, and this is going to be an exciting fight once again. John Garbarino he sells more tickets because he has so many friends and he's such a great guy. So he's going to have a huge crowd there, and this place is going to be exploding when he comes out. We'll see how Dijon handles it. Garbarino is, like I said, he is taking his pro debut. He's done it right. Can't wait for that fight. Now, the next fight, two heavyweights making their pro debut. We have Damian Gothard versus Wild Mike Kennedy. First, thank you, Jesus, for getting Wild Mike Kennedy a fight. It's been a year. He's been trying to get a fight. He's an exciting guy. He's fighting at heavyweight because that's the only fight he could get in the future. Mike wants to go down to 205, but right now he's concentrated. He's totally all in at heavyweight against Damian Gothard, and it's his pro debut as well. Mike Kennedy has an exciting style, likes to strike. He's over there at Martinez BJJ working with the big dogs, and he's getting better and better every day. I'm excited for him to get his pro debut. Let's talk about some of the amateur fights. Listen, Dan Mullen upset his last fight at Art of War 31, and he's fighting for the championship now against Eamon Hardy. This is a great fight. Both of these guys are in great shape. Both of these guys want the belt. I was talking to Eamon Hardy. He is ready for this fight, and he says he's not leaving without the belt. Mullen is a tough dude. This is a great fight. Could go either way. This could be fight of the night. I love this fight, and it's for the belt. Always good when you have, the strap is going to the winner. Some of the guys on the undercard and amateur that I'd like to talk about, and listen, the amateur card is awesome part of it because, these are the guys that, are going to be going to the UFC later. These are the guys that are going to be fighting in the co-main events, in the main event. I was doing this when, Sean Brady, Andre Petroski, Bill Algeo, Chris Dawkins, Kyle Dawkins, when they were fighting on the amateur card like these guys are now in the first 4 or 5 fights on the card. This is where they build their resume. This is where they get better. And that's why the amateurs are always fun to watch. And like I said, some of the guys I'm looking at, listen, I want to say Cade Baradelli, I've heard great things about him. He's taking on Rafael Barrientos. Can't wait to see Cade do his thing. That's an exciting fight. I've heard nothing but great things about him from the community, and talking to him over at Live, he is really focused and he's confident and he's all in. I mean, Cade wants to be a professional fighter, and you know what? This is where he's getting started. Like I said, a couple of years from now, Cade, maybe Rafael, they may be fighting in the main event here or in the UFC. That's where it starts, man, at the amateur ranks. A. King DeLeon versus Nathan Rex. That's a battle. Both of these guys have been in there a couple times. They both know their way around the cage. They're both training at great places. Another great fight to keep your eyes on. The battle of the Erics. Eric Ergeles versus Eric Bites. Listen, Eric Bites, I know he was disappointed. He lost his last fight, and it was for a title. And he's happy to be getting back in there real quickly, a quick turnaround. And, Eric Ergeles don't care about Bites' last fight and that he lost. He's going to get in there, and he wants the same thing. He wants to have his arm raised. So I'm sure the guys over at NPR Endurance, Eric Purcell, and those guys are going to have Eric ready. And like I said, he has a bright future, as well as Eric Ergeles. So that's a fight to keep your eyes on. A couple other guys. Listen, 1-0. Chris Molina versus Steven Rodriguez. Love this fight. We got, Molina is training over there with my man Anthony Terrell at Art of Movement, and that the whole family over there that they have with the Marquez MMA and all those guys. So there's a few of his teammates on this card as well. It's always great when you have a fight camp and you have several guys on the card, and that's what we have here. We're going to have some studs in the cage as well as studs working corners and in the locker room. This is going to be a star-filled night. I can't wait. And one more amateur fight I want to talk about before we go, and both of these guys, listen, I love seeing guys like this go at it this young. I think both of these guys have pro careers, even though it's early to say that because they've each only had, are beginning. But Francis Travelli, listen, the praying mantis, he is the nephew of Ricardo Migler-Reese, and, don't believe that he only has jiu-jitsu, because he came out and he knocked his opponent out in less than 30 seconds in his debut. And he is well trained. He's been in the sport for a long time. I'm excited for Francis Travelli at Art of War 32. I'm excited for his future and his career. He's a little monster. Can't wait to see him. And listen, Nicolas Tsinsadze, he's another guy who's, from out of the country, who's come over here, and his whole plan in life is to fight, to train, to fight. So he's waking up every day. He's dedicating himself to fighting. He's talented. He's got a great team with him over there. My man Matty Netterville, they got a great squad over there. And I expect, this to be an amazing fight. I actually expect both of these guys, Travelli and Tsinsadze, in the future to have pro careers. And here they are meeting early in their amateur career. And that's why the sport is so good, because there's so many guys getting into the sport right now at the amateur level. Excuse me, I apologize. And that's what you got. So listen, Art of War Cage Fighting 32, you can get it on the Star Fund app. I doubt you're going to get tickets, but you can try to get down there at Live Casino on Friday night. The card's going to be awesome. Earl Small, John Garbarino, Wild Mike Kennedy, Robert Gadron, Dijon Francis, Damian Gothard. Get down there, support Philly MMA, local MMA. Boom!